All right, we're live. Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Wall Street Rundown. I'm your co-host Billy. I got Wale with me. What's good, Wale?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Wall Street Rundown. It's the we break down the market so you can make money in this market. Like I said, I'm your co-host. I got Wale with me. Let's get straight to it, man. This week has been a little interesting. Wall Street came with a smooth bounce back this week. Nothing wild, nothing chaotic. It's kind of like just a steady move in the right direction. If you look at S&P 500, it's up like 0.3%. The Dow Jones was up like 0.5%. Nasdaq 0.9%. So after all this crazy shaky action from last week and a little early this week, man, this week kind of feel a little bit like the market just gotta, it kicked back a little bit and say, hey, let me just chill for a second and give this guy some good moves, man. Because if you look at it like, I mean, go look at IWM. I know we were talking about it earlier, man. IWM has been on a monster move for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks straight. I mean, I think we were down to like 230 something or almost 229 or something like that. And look at it, like it's just going. What might be feeding some of that? I mean, it might be the Fed, man. The Fed is out there. There's a little bit of um talks about maybe giving the market a lifeline when it comes to like rate cuts and all stuff. So we've been hearing a lot of rate cut whispers. They started spreading across the streets. Soon as traders heard that, growth stocks and tech started shining again. As you can think, like lower rates equals more room for big moves. Especially for IWM. So keep an eye on that one. And
Yeah, I
again, those whole rate cuts talk, man. I mean, it's been happening. So I don't know why. Like, I feel like if they don't give us a rate cut next week, I think I think we're gonna come crashing. So I don't know. We'll see.
so today IWM actually got within 11 cents of its all-time high, right?
Yeah.
I think the all-time high was 2252.77. We got the 252.66 before we saw it come
Mhm.
crashing down. So based on the data that we've received so far, I think there is incentive and there is a need, in my opinion, that the Fed needs to start cutting rates, right? We've got
Yeah.
4.4% unemployment. And to me, unemployment and jobs has been what has, in my opinion, shifted policy, right? Because from an inflation standpoint, do we still have inflation? Yes. But if you look at when the the Fed has been like, okay, we need to do something, it's based on what the jobs report has been showing them.
Right.
So for
Right.
me, if they all of a sudden pivot from jobs to inflation, right? I don't know if that's going to be the most wisest move to make at this point in time. So I'm expecting them to cut next week, probably going to be 25. If it's 50, oh man, I'd be
Mhm.
really happy if it's
Yeah.
50.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think a lot of that optimism is what's driven IWM to where it's at. I'll also say too is when we look at opportunity, and as far as I'd say the bang for buck, you'll probably get more bang for your buck in small caps than you would in large caps because large
Yep.
caps again have been driving
They're up there.
the market from a valuation standpoint, right? They're more expensive. I think small caps have more opportunity.
Hmm.
And if we
Hmm.
get into a rate cut cycle, and then if we get a new Fed chair that is very rate cut friendly, I think that that could help drive the optimism in small caps. So another thing I keep pointing out to is whoever the Fed chair is, I know he's gonna cut rates because Trump keeps buying bonds. You're not gonna buy bonds.
Not yeah. Just
No.
because. Yeah.
And you're not gonna buy bonds if you're expecting rates to go up.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
whoever the next Fed chair is, I'm telling you, he's going to be very, very, to me, animate about cutting rates,
And
which
that's and that's and that's happening when January, February
May next year.
next year, May. So
So Trump says he might name the Fed chair before then, but the official start date of the new Fed chair won't happen until May 2026. And I'm pretty animate that
But
when that
Jerome is leaving. When is Jerome leaving?
next
February?
next next I think he leaves in May. I think April or May
Okay.
next year.
For some
Yeah.
reason, I thought he's leaving earlier than that. Okay.
Yeah. So whoever's coming, I'm telling you, they're gonna cut
Oh yeah.
rates. I
Oh
think they're
yeah.
gonna cut rates because
Oh yeah.
again, and Trump is loading up. Like
Yep.
he's buying bonds by the boatload.
Yeah. He's getting ready for it. He's
Yeah.
getting. He's definitely getting ready for it.
And to me, with the national debt now crossing $30 trillion. They're trying to bring those interest payments down because if you keep issuing debt and rates stay high, you're just adding more expenses to the balance
So
sheet. So
way, way, way more.
yeah, I think we'll get a rate cut now that we got 4.4% unemployment. And we'll just have to wait and see where there's 25 or 50.
Yep, yep. I mean, at 4.4, we're hitting like, are we at like 2020 numbers during the pandemic? I think we were right there, maybe a little bit below that, a little bit. But overall, man, like, I mean, we keep seeing layoffs. So
Yes,
there has to be some type of, I mean, this is one of the, Fed's mandate, right, to keep unemployment low,
full employment. Yeah,
right.
full employment. Yeah.
So at this point, I don't see why they wouldn't, cut rates. Now, are they going to be aggressive with 50% or 0.5 50 basis? I don't know. Like, I really don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah. 50 basis points will be a blessing to the market, but I don't know if they
Oof.
have the balls to do that.
Yeah,
Man, I don't
yeah.
know if they have the balls to do that. So
We shall see, man. But let's move on to Meta, man. I mean, so Meta is cutting up to like 30% of his spending on metaverse reality projects in 2026. I mean, that's like cutting the whole division. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, like, was it last year? They were pushing so hard on the whole metaverse thing, right? So even like they changed the name from Facebook to Meta to reflect that move. And I think we said it here. I was like, I think the metaverse has a place, but I don't think the same thing with AI. Like we keep saying, like, you have to find the use case for it. If there's no use case for it, technology disappears real quick until they come back around when there's a use case for it. Right
um,
now, there's no use case for metaverse.
when I look back at that whole like project about the metaverse, because there's a couple things that I remember back in the day, um, when they brought out those VR labs. I remember they were
Yeah,
doing a lot of like, oh, it can make you feel like you're sitting courtside at an NBA game, like you'd
yeah,
watch NBA
the
games
game.
on the
Yeah,
VR things, right? I think that they spent a lot of money buying the technology behind that. And what I feel like Mark Zuckerberg maybe was playing like Roblox way too long, and that just might have like took his mind into
it was an
something that
emotion. It was an emotional decision.
I don't know what it was. They were like, oh, medical students can use it to like practice surgeries and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, Facebook sunk over $70
Billion
billion
with a B.
on the metaverse
Mm-hmm.
with a B. $70 billion. And when you look at what they could have done with that money, had they not done that, and we're not talking about chump change. So I'm
Nope.
happy if you're a Facebook stock owner, you're probably very happy that this project is getting scrapped pretty much, or maybe put on hold. I don't know what the details are,
Yeah.
but they sunk a lot of money on that project. So, to me as an investor, if you're a trader or you're an investor, this is the lesson that I said you can take from this is that sometimes the smartest people in the room don't get it right.
Yeah.
And sometimes as a trader and as an investor, when you make a bad trade or you make a bad investment, sometimes you beat yourself up for it and you can't like let go of that stuff. Again, sometimes the smartest people in the room don't get it right. And we're talking about a $70 billion mistake.
It's a lot.
So the next time you make a bad trade or you make a mistake or something like that,
Don't beat yourself. Do
give
not
yourself
beat
some
yourself.
grace. Give yourself some grace. So,
Man, I feel like
don't allow that psychology to get you down too much.
yeah, I feel like they should have spent that money on, like, I honestly think like they would have spent it more on like the Meta glasses, like the one they have
Hmm.
with Ray-Ban. Like I
Hmm.
think they would have got a lot farther. They probably like put $1 billion into that. That would have been a lot better than having to spend it on. I mean,
Yeah.
hindsight 2020, right? It's like
Or
they
stock
wouldn't know.
buyback,
Yeah,
something. I don't know.
yeah, they
I
wouldn't know
just
like
to me when that whole thing came out, right? Because that was during the time of like NFTs and like Roblox and people talking about
uh,
buying, land in the metaverse and all this stuff. And all of that was so like I don't know what drove people to think that we were all going to start living in this alternative reality,
oh
right?
man.
Like you had companies like build like not, I think like you could like building stuff in the metaverse and
Mm-hmm.
like that whole thing just did not make any sense to me. And I know it was kind of during the time when Roblox was kind of blowing up and like Minecraft and all that stuff. And when
Yep.
I kind of saw that, I was like, this is for kids. Like I don't see this being a real big like thing for adults.
Yep. Yep.
And they ran with it. We saw the commercials about what the metaverse was. They changed the whole name of the company. So they must have really, really, really believed in it. Now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, who knows? I don't know. As AI gets better, as quantum gets better, maybe we live in an alternate reality. I don't
Alternate.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah. Like I said, I think one of the biggest things, like, there is going to be use case for it, right? But we
Hmm.
just don't know how, or how it's gonna look like. I think,
Hmm.
honestly, like, we look at it a certain way because we like it's not understandable. I think about AI back in the day, like with IBM. IBM came up with Watson and all this stuff.
That's
It was
true.
a great technology, but I think it was way ahead of its time. That people
Hmm.
really it didn't really take off. You know what I mean? They
Hmm.
kind of dropped the ball on that one. Now you see AI is all over the place. People using, like, if you think about Watson and ChatGPT, there's like the same thing. They
Hmm.
basically are an analytics. They're a language learning model. Like, they literally were just like, but Watson was more toward technology. I mean, toward medical world and stuff. So
Yeah.
again, I think the use case is for the metaverse. It still hasn't been uncovered. It's gonna
Yeah.
come a time where it's gonna make sense. Right now, it don't make no sense unless you want to play a
Yeah.
game and put your stuff headset on. Good,
Correct.
but
And my thing is with the VR lab stuff, like augmented reality. I mean, Snapchat has tried to like really,
yes, they're
build
trying.
their brand around that and they have not succeeded. We've seen the flop of the Vision Pro that Apple came out with. That has been a humongous flop.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Facebook or the Meta Vision Pro or whatever Vision glasses,
Oculus,
the Oculus, they
there's nowhere to be found.
yeah. So I don't know what they're gonna pivot to in the future to kind of make this work,
Yeah.
but I don't see it happening anytime
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I'm not a believer in that aspect just yet. Now,
Yeah.
maybe now I will say this though. I know that there are some athletes that use alternative reality to train. Like Jaden Daniels uses it as a quarterback for the Washington Commanders, and I saw a goalie for the NHL who also uses it to practice. So
Interesting.
maybe there's the use case behind that is using it for maybe concentrating on like sports,
Yeah.
maybe concentrating on like military drills, and maybe concentrating on like first responders, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that's the use case and that's the market that you need to pivot to. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. So maybe like very niche instead of like,
Yeah, very niche. Yeah, not very mass market. I don't see a mass market, type of idea for that. No, I
yeah,
think it needs to be very, very niche. So
yeah. Not yet. Not yet.
not yet.
Well,
No.
speaking of AI, man. So you guys heard it here before. So let me just read this to you guys. So in recent interview, Jensen actually talked about the growth of AI. He warned about the growth of AI, right? Especially in a large scale data centers for training and inference. So it's like, what he's saying is basically is like the biggest thing that they're gonna face right now is power supply. And we did multiple shows on this, and I'm finally glad it's finally like getting to the place where people are actually like
Paying attention, right?
the big people start talking about it. You know what I mean? Well, let me talk about this last year. You know what I mean? This is like you did a whole research on this last year on what actually is going to be benefiting from this. So, and he said that Jensen said that the traditional grits might not be up to the task. And who said that?
Say it for the people in the back. Say it for the people in the back.
I'm just saying, man, it's crazy. And to add even like a more caveat to that, he said the fix. He urged that the next few years will likely see a whole bunch of small nuclear reactors, SMRs. And he's talking about this will be deployed by big data protect data centers operators and ensure stable, high capacity power for AI workloads, right? NVIDIA itself has demonstrated the pivot through its arms, like the investment arm. It has backed nuclear energy startups working on novel reactor designs, including SMRs, signaling that this isn't just talk, but a strategic position. In short, AI's future is dead without the hardware and the power and infrastructure that goes in it. So standing ovation to the boy Wale, man. He's like, you called this out. And I think we are positioned well. Like, I mean, if you go back to the different, presentation that Wale did, like we laid out the whole plan for you guys. So Wale, I'm gonna let you take it from here, man, because this is exciting.
So Jensen Huang, the CEO of the most um, valuable company in the world, has now put a rubber stamp on what is going to be needed for this entire AI build out, right? Last year we've been talking about, we understand that we're going to need chips, but we said you cannot run an AI data center without power. I don't care
No.
how many chips you put in there. I don't care how fast the chips are. I don't care what kind of network technology you have. All of that technology, you put that in the data center. To me, if you can't turn the lights on, nothing works.
Mm-hmm.
And data centers are power hungry and they run 24/7.
Yep.
We live in a country where the power grid probably has not been updated in a very, very long time.
Very long time.
And if we are supposed to be able to power these workloads continuously, the demand for power will continue to go up. You probably now start seeing, if you go on Instagram, I think I shared a page or somebody was talking about SMRs and nuclear technology and things like that. So the technology is real. It is happening before our eyes. And the one thing that we talked about that would be a potential hindrance or could be a potential hindrance was always going to be government support. Well, we've got government support green lighting everything right now, and they're fast tracking everything right now. So the technology is in place. Now, when that technology will go live, we still have to wait.
Yep.
We still have to wait. And Jensen said 6 to 7 years is when we're going to be seeing the deployment of the SMR technology on more of a wide scale. And to me, that seems pretty accurate because I
Yep.
think Oklo's device probably not going to go live until 2027, and they're still on track for that timeline, right?
Yep. Yep.
They still need funding. They've got a good cash ramp, or they've got the money at least to get to that side of the business. So, at this point, it's just a matter of when the technology is going to be ready to go live.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm happy that someone else who's a lot smarter than me, got way more money than me, is now giving the public the same thing I've been saying for the last year.
Yep. Yep.
So, and I will say this from an investment opportunity. I think I posted this on my Instagram page. Is it possible that over the next 5 or 10 years, that XLU could potentially outperform SPY?
Yes.
Because
I 100% agree.
XLU is outperforming SPY this year by a small margin. But when you look at it from a investment standpoint, typically utilities do not move like
They
this
don't
in
move
a
like
bull
that.
market.
Nope.
They do not. They are more of a defensive sector that people get into when the markets are down. Because what are we always going to need, regardless of whether the market is up or down? You need healthcare, you
Yep.
need power, and you need food. Those are all defensive sectors. So to see XLU outperform SPY in a bull market with the potential demand of power increasing over the next couple of years, could XLU be a better investment than SPY? And when I say better, I mean on a risk adjusted basis
Yep.
because XLU is less volatile
Yep.
and it also pays a higher dividend. So you're not taking the same amount of risk, but you have the potential to get the same amount of performance.
Yep.
So as an advisor, when we see that, we get excited. Lower standard deviation, lower beta, higher dividend, that could be a sleeper.
That's a
So
sleeper.
I,
That's a
I would I would
big
I'd be
sleeper.
watching. That's a trade that I will be tracking. XLU versus SPY. I don't think XLU will outperform QQQ because of the nature of how heavily weighted QQQ is to technology. But could XLU outperform SPY over the next 5 years? I'll be watching. So
I mean, I can't agree more, man. Like I feel like we are at that time now where it's like the infrastructure that supports this whole AI data center stuff, it's gonna be in play. And I think that's
yes.
where you're gonna find a lot more value at this point right now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So outside of like playing the big boys, which is in my opinion, they have been running like crazy. So
Yes.
now, if you really want to find those gems, start looking into some of those things. I mean, we talked
Correct.
about TSM as another major player when it comes to this, but that's not in necessarily energy, but in the actual manufacturing of the chips. But now it's like if you really focus on the energy sector, I mean, 2 3 years from now, you might be sitting in a nice place. You know,
Yes.
if you really like just, and again, it's not gonna be like a rocket ship, right? We're gonna see some
No.
volatility.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, just I think that's a really good place to be in right now
Yeah.
if you
From a
really want
risk adjusted standpoint and also from a valuation standpoint, because most of these energy companies are not expensive stocks. If you look at like their PEs and all that stuff,
to facts. Yep.
they're not very expensive.
Yep.
So I would be looking at this sector. And, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that it will outperform SPY. I don't know. But to me, we know that the demand for power is going to continue to go up. So, I would be very interested in XLU over the next 5 years. So
Yep. So
don't say I didn't tell y'all nothing.
So keep an eye on that one, man. Let's move on to the next big thing, man. Netflix. Netflix is making some crazy moves. So after the split, they went around and started buying up stuff. So they just acquired what Warner Brothers, I think. Warner Brothers, Discovery Studios, plus their streaming business, which includes film TV studios, HBO Max, and associated streaming content library asset. The deal is valued at about $72 billion. That's equity value through enterprise value comes in around 82.7 billion dollars. I mean, listen, I think the only way for Netflix to start chipping at some of those big boys is to actually buy them out. And they have proven that they can do that. You know what I mean? So I think that's the only way for them to grow at this point. I think they have hit their growth level,
Yes.
honestly. If
Yep.
you think about it, like they went after streaming, they went after all these different things. And they are taking a chapter off out of Amazon and Apple's books. They're literally acquiring those companies. Like, if we can beat you guys, we're just gonna buy you guys out and
Yep.
take on that whole market.
Yep.
And that's what they're doing.
Yep. Growth by acquisition at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is not a small bet, man. This is huge.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
If Meta didn't spend all that money on the metaverse, they could have bought them.
I mean,
If we being real,
that's true. That's true. That's true. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. $70 billion. Like,
that's a lot. That's a lot of money for content. And I don't. I'm not familiar with the numbers behind the streaming subscribers for HBO Max. Maybe they saw something in the data that they liked. I don't
yeah,
know what it is that they saw, but that's a real big move. Maybe there's content in that library that they like that they want to be able to have the intellectual
that's what I was
property
gonna say.
behind. Yeah.
That's what I was
So
gonna say. I think it's all
yeah.
about the content behind that.
hmm Yeah, because HBO is kind of like it's evolved. They got rid of their HBO Sports, or they don't do boxing, they don't do pay-per-view anymore.
Yeah,
Netflix has now stepped into that space for
yeah,
live streaming,
yeah,
sporting events and boxing matches and things like that. So, man, I don't know. I just there's just so much streaming
yeah,
companies right now.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
kind of now you've got I think who's left now? You've got Netflix, you've got Hulu,
Hulu,
you've got
Disney.
Disney,
Well, Disney and Hulu kind of like, I
the
think
same.
Disney owns Hulu now.
Most of Hulu, that's true.
Yep. And
And then
ESPN too. So they kind of
okay,
own all that. And
and
then
then
you,
You've got Paramount Plus.
Paramount,
You've got
Peacock,
Peacock.
and then you have Amazon.
You've got Amazon. You've got
Yep,
Apple TV.
you got Apple TV.
So
So
the whole streaming business, man, that's just it's so crowded to me. Like
yeah,
I don't see I don't know how the business is going to grow. Maybe you just need more subscribers. I don't know.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just need more of that reoccurring revenue. You just need more people in your ecosystem, and that's how you grow. I don't
Yep,
know.
yep,
So
yep. So I think
we'll see. We'll
they're just
see.
acquiring customers right now. They're acquiring customers, but the problem I'm seeing is when you so I don't think this move is about necessarily getting more subscribers
Hmm.
rather than owning the intellectual property for some of
Okay,
those movies and all that stuff, right? Because
gotcha.
now if somebody wants to do a movie that let's say somebody wants to do a remake of like a movie that HBO owned that Netflix now own, they have to come to Netflix, right? So some royalties got to be paid. They got to make sure like they pay up front and all these different things before. Like there was a whole story about why um the James Bond movies are still owned by the James Bond family. Not just James, not just, but the guy that actually started the James Bond trilogy series, whatever.
Didn't
His
Amazon
family,
buy them out?
his family still owns that thing. So Amazon can't do anything until that there's like the daughter of the director basically that created this whole James Bond thing.
Hmm.
Like she has to sign off on it every
Oh,
single time.
wow.
They can't just go out and just make a movie. Like, and she has a say on who's get to play, who gets to play James Bond, who gets to play. Like, she has a lot of say.
Hmm.
So even though Amazon might own it, she still has a lot of say into it, right?
Gotcha.
So I think that's why I think that's probably why Netflix is probably doing that stuff is
Hmm.
trying to own some of those intellectual properties and stuff. So,
Hmm.
but if you think about it, most people who own Netflix probably own HBO, probably subscribing to HBO, subscribing to all the other streaming platforms. So are you really gaining followers, or are you just like combining,
Yeah.
streaming services? So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll see. That's an expensive purchase, though. I think the stock was down on the announcement, but we'll see. It's trading at 100 now. We'll see if it
yeah.
we'll
I think it might honestly. Let me see. I think I was looking like if you're probably gonna go down to like probably 60.
yeah, because
Let
it
me
just
see.
got rejected at this 105 area. And
Yeah,
to me, the next level of support, it's below the 200 day. Yeah, I think from a technical standpoint, I'd probably say that 95 to 91 is an area I would see if it does find support. But it
yeah,
was
man.
it was
You better than me. I have them going to like 82.11.
ooh,
And then if we failed that, that's what I was saying. It's probably gonna go down to like the 60s. But we'll see, man. If we drop below, if like I said, if we drop below that 82.11 area, I think it's gone down.
yeah. We'll see
Yeah.
how soon they can turn a return on investment on that big purchase because
Yeah.
again, that's not a
It's gonna take time.
that's not a small amount of money to sniff at.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. But yeah, man, that's a big, 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 big purchase. So we shall see. Another company that you kind of brought to my attention is Rubik. Their ticker symbol is RBRK. Man, what a big mover after earnings. If you guys didn't like when you told me that I went to look, I was like, whoa, what the heck happened? You know? So what happened is that in quarter three 2025 earnings report, Rubik basically crushed expectation. The earnings came in at like 0.10 per share versus the consensus was negative 0.17. Like they crushed it, right? Their revenue hit like $350.2 million, well above that $320 million that analysts was expecting, basically. The subscription business grew by 34% year over year to 1.35 billion dollars. So, I mean, this company wasn't even on my radar, man. Like, I don't know how you saw it or what makes you look at it. So let's talk about that a little bit because I was like, where did this come from?
So if you are in our investment group, and this is why I keep trying to tell y'all, y'all need to hurry up
Mm-hmm.
and make that move. So one of the things that I have mentioned on this show a bunch of times is that there are two businesses to me that go together. AI, cybersecurity. You can't have
Yeah.
one without
Yep.
the other.
Yep.
Because as you start building these models, as you start building these data centers, You have to protect the intellectual property. I've been pretty big on Palo Alto Networks. I've been talking about them as one of the leaders in cybersecurity. I used to own CrowdStrike Leaps before I sold them, right? And CrowdStrike, man, I had CrowdStrike early when it IPO'd, man.
Mhm.
I had them early when it IPO'd and I sold it. I made a little bit of money, didn't really make that much money, and I sold it. I should have held it. So I was like, where is the next quality cybersecurity company is going to come from? Because to me, Palo Alto was a little bit too expensive. It's a big company now. CrowdStrike is a huge company now. I'm like, where can I find a good quality cybersecurity company? And
Yeah.
there's a bunch of them. Like
Yep.
just if you look at the cybersecurity space and you look at different companies, I mean, there's
There's a
tons.
lot of them.
You've got Okta, you've got Fastly, you've got Cloudflare. Like there's a
Not fair.
ton of them.
Yep.
So as I was going through my Chat GPT prompts, I came across Rubrik, and I did my investigation on Rubrik, and I looked at their compounded annual growth rate, looked at their reoccurring revenue, and looked at a lot of things that they were doing from a business standpoint. And I said, this could be a good investment. So back on September 20th, I went out and I wrote up a whole thesis behind why I feel they're a good company. And I shared it with everybody in my group. This is back in September. Initially, the stock got to about 80 and then it kind of pulled back. But I was like, I just want to hear what they're going to say on their next earning report before I make any decision. So as they were dropping, I just kept adding to my position. Anytime under 70, I just kept adding to my position, adding to my position. And they reported their earnings yesterday, and that stock went from about what 71 to 90 at the high today.
Yep.
And if you look at the things that they are doing in their space, it's pretty innovative, and they're building partnerships with the right people. And the thing with cybersecurity is their business model is built on reoccurring revenue, right? Consistent reoccurring revenue and subscription money. They don't have a lot of debt. They have good growing, um, consistent revenue, and also good growing free cash flow for a fairly small company when you compare them to some of the big players.
Right.
And another thing that we talked about this when CrowdStrike had that whole big outage is, will people start to look at maybe we need to start diversifying our cybersecurity platform so we're not tied to just one provider? You know, is that something that could happen in the future? And when I was on the earnings call yesterday, listening to the CEO and the CFO talk, a lot of the things that they're working on, man, it's very innovative. I don't talk tech jargon, so I didn't understand most of it. But what I did understand is that they're working in a place where I guess companies are going to start deploying like AI agents, right, to do certain tasks. And you need, I guess, ways to kind of check and see what these things are doing and making sure there's not any intruders in that space. And they're working on like protecting that ecosystem. And
Yep.
they've got a good identity product that a lot of companies use and governments use and stuff like that. So, I like what I heard. And, this stock hit a high of what, 103 back in June? No, yeah, June.
Mhm.
If it can break above 89.90 to like 90, I think it could be well on its way to getting back to that $100 mark. But
Yes.
we've been we've been all over this one since September, man. And I'm just glad that everything worked out.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting company, man. So
Yeah.
I will definitely advise you guys to take a look into this because the way it's moving right now, like it has that alcohol type of move. It has that those type of stock that we talked about a lot.
Yeah.
So
And their balance sheet to me is what really got me. For a small company, I mean, not having a ton of debt, and I think their reoccurring revenue hit
mhm.
over 103 billion a year,
Yep,
and they guided way more than what people were expecting.
yep,
So, at the growth rate that they're moving, to me, this is a company that I would definitely have on my radar for sure.
yep, yep, yep. but their fundamentals looks really good too. So I mean, you can't beat this one right now.
Yeah,
So keeping an eye on that
I
one.
think it's one that you should definitely put on your watch list. So
Yep.
if you would have been in the group, you could have got in early.
Way early. Way early. Well, moving on to next week, man. All eyes on FOMC. Wednesday, December 10th. Your boy Jerome is gonna come onto that platform and say, "Good afternoon, everyone." And as soon as he talks, we'll see how the market does. He's gonna come up with that. But FOMC, Wednesday, December 10th. 2 p.m. Their decision will come out, and then 2:30 as usual, Powell will hold a press conference to answer any questions. So all eyes on that day. I mean, if we got a rate cut, even 0.25 basis, I think honestly think 0.25 basis probably is in
Might be priced in.
expectation,
Yeah, it
might
might be
be
priced in.
pricing because of the
Yeah,
moves we had, especially in the IWM. But if we get point fit, if we get like 50 basis, if we get 50 basis, oh my God, I think the stock market is going to go in a frenzy. So again, 2 p.m. Wednesday, keep an eye on and the best way you can play this is wait till Jerome talks and see how the stock does and see how the market moves, please. Because people be getting in as soon as the decision comes in and then you get faked out and then
man,
you lose all your money. You know what I mean?
you can't chase the first move.
Yeah, please wait till Jerome start talking. And sometimes even after he finishes talking, the stock market doesn't do anything, you know? So again, just be very careful. Mark your levels, all of that stuff. If push comes to shove, just sit back, relax, and wait till like the last maybe hour. Like 3 p.m. we might see some moves. But honestly, man, like just wait till Jerome start talking. And one of the biggest things I'll tell people, like advise people, like actually listen to him, like listen to those questions that he's being asked. You know, outside of the trading, outside of the stock market, it's always good to see what type of question that is being asked to him and what how his answer is because he's gonna dictate like how the market's actually going to move in the next year, maybe the next 4 or 5 months before he leaves the market, before he leaves the chair. So keep an eye on that because
Hmm.
it's going to be some really really good stuff. So educational purpose at least.
Yeah,
And of course Thursday we have 8:30 a.m. the initial jobless claims. I was hoping that you know they'll do FOMC after the jobless claims, but I was hoping they're gonna like have the FOMC on I mean the jobless claims on the same day as the FOMC, but of course it's gonna be the next day. But we shall see. But other than that, man, that's the big news coming out next week. So keep an eye on that because it's gonna be very important.
yeah. I don't think anything else matters next week except for FOMC. That's it.
Nope. But the
That's
following
it.
week we have Thursday, December 18th. Actually, CPI. Hopefully we get the numbers this time.
Yeah.
Consumer price index is coming out. CPI is coming up, so we'll keep an eye on that one also. So that's another big report to keep an eye on, and that's gonna be Thursday, December 18th. So literally a week after FOMC. That's another market mover. So
Yeah.
keep an eye on that one. Um, but yeah, man. Before we wrap up, any last minute advice you want to give to the people?
No, like I said, I think I've given some of my rationale and thesis. I the XLU SPY trade to me is one that I would be I'll be monitoring that. And I
Yep,
will say that a lot of the performance in XLU has come from Constellation Energy because I think that's
yes,
one of the biggest holdings in that ETF. And I
yep,
also think that that's probably the best performance stock in that ETF so far this year because I think
yep,
Constellation is up like 60%, if I'm not mistaken.
yep, yep. It's actually
So
Kaizen is actually the second biggest holding.
Nextera is the first, right?
NEE, yep, NEE is the first one.
Okay, yeah. I know Nextera is the first. I don't know how Nextera has done this year though. Let me take a
I think it
look.
dropped. Did we drop? I think it dropped a little bit like
Okay.
last week.
Yeah, Nextera actually Nextera September they did pretty good. They went from
Yeah,
68 to a high of 87. Then they dropped after earnings. Now they're starting to
yeah.
consolidate.
Consolidate. Yeah.
Yeah. So some of these, like I said, some of these energy companies, man. One of the things I'll say this: look at where these data centers are being built. What states? then start looking at what energy companies that are publicly traded are going to be operating in those states. That
Yep.
might lead you to some good
Yep.
names.
Yep.
I think NRG is another one that has had a
NRG.
good year. I don't know how big of a holding they are in XLU, but NRG has been a stock that has done. I mean, NRG was trading at $79 in April. Now it's trading at 180. It's been consolidating for a while though. Hasn't really done anything in the last like month.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I would do some research around that, man. Like I said, I don't tell anybody I didn't tell you where to start looking because we've given you some quality information on where you can really start looking for opportunities in this market. So the energy companies, I would do some research on, okay, where are these data centers being built? Which publicly traded companies operate in those states?
Yep. Yep.
So, because I think from the states that I'm hearing, I know Texas is a name that I've heard a lot. I think Indiana is a name I've heard. So we just got to start looking at where all these data center projects are happening, and go from there.
Yep. Yep. Well, with that being said, man, you guys been listening to the Wall Street Rundown. If you guys enjoyed tonight's insights, please make sure you guys follow, share with a friend. I mean, today's episode was good, man. Like I'm telling you, man, we covered some really nice stuff. So again, covered the energy world, like what Jensen been saying, all of those different things. So
Yeah,
again,
shout out to Jensen for rubber
shout out to
stamping my
yeah,
thesis.
rubber stamping your
Rubber
thesis for
stamping
real.
my thesis because now people gonna start believing me. But just remember where you heard it first.
We're gonna start calling you Wale Jensen Huang. Well, with
Remember,
that being said,
we put you on way before Jensen
way
put you
before,
on.
way before we talked
If I
about
would have got on
energy
the
and all
Joe
this stuff.
Rogan podcast last year and said it, I would have made a lot of people a lot of money.
Yeah, they're gonna be playing. They would have been playing your episode back to back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, I'm not that popular.
One day you will. One day you will. I'm telling you. But anyways, man, with that being said, y'all have a good night, have a good weekend, and we talk to you guys on Wednesday.
Yep, after FOMC.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
All right,
Have a
everyone,
good
take
night.
care.
Peace.
Peace.